Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome back to the finale of Season 1 of our F1 25 Aston Martin Driver Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here in Yas Marina for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from Qatar, I would highly recommend going back and checking out one more race this year, and there is a championship fight going down to the wire. Max Verstappen admittedly has a 23-point lead ahead of Lando Norris in the championship. All Max needs to do tonight, I believe, is finish 8th place, and he will guarantee himself the crown. The Dutchman over the course of the year has claimed 6 victories. Lando Norris has claimed 4 victories, so Max Verstappen actually only needs 9th place here to win the World Championship. Lando Norris, he needs to win this one if he wants any hope at claiming the crown at the end of the year, but are we about to see the Dutchman equal Michael Schumacher's record of 5 straight World Championships inside the sport as well? A massive thank you to everybody that has continued the support throughout the entirety of this season. Season 2 is going to be right around the corner as well. You do not have to worry about that as well, but hopefully one final time this campaign we can go out with a bit of a bang. Of course, we've got our own championship fight going on, 1 point ahead of Charles Leclerc, 12 points clear of Oscar Piastri. I want to hang on to P3 by the end of the campaign, so let's just go out there and do this thing.
Welcome along everybody, it's the fastest day of the week, qualifying Saturday, and we're here in Abu Dhabi.
Well, if I've learned anything about Abu Dhabi inside F1 25, it's that the AI are, as we've said many times before, absolutely rapid around this circuit. I really shouldn't have picked the weakest car in a straight line on this game to be running this series in, but you know what, that's part of the challenge, isn't it, I guess, and obviously we got robbed back in Azerbaijan, if you guys remember correctly, so we'll wait and see whether those points really do make the difference by the end of the year then. But Gabriel Bortoleto running up in P3 early on in this session then. Of course, as always, the first lap a bit more of a banker. The second run is going to be where we really try and find the time. But, you know, we've had a lot of success in this Aston Martin this year. I'm not optimistic that tonight we will claim that record equaling 4th victory here, but you never know what might happen, and we're certainly not going to not try. Gabriel Bortoleto, though, just in front of me here, and I think we've, if anything, ended up a little bit too close behind him in all the wrong places there. Sonoda rockets the top spot so far in qualifying. We will go P4, slower than Pierre Gasly, Carlos Sainz even is a bit of a shame, but actually it looked fairly competitive. Well, currently then, Lando Norris and Max Verstappen right behind me in provisional qualifying order, both of them less than 1/100th of a second away, so I'm expecting both of them to try and find a bit more time. It is still Sonoda up at the front of the order, but Carlos Sainz in that Williams, that is just unironically a very good lap around this circuit. We need about 0.6 of a second if I want to try and get up to Yuki here, as that is a lot of curb through turn 3, but hopefully we're just going to be able to find a little bit more lap time, and now we're not stuck under Gabriel Bortoleto's rear wing. I don't know whether I got a nice slipstream though from him out on the back straight though, so we'll have to wait and see whether the Delta slowly kind of crawls away from us. As you can see, about 0.4 up as we make our way down the straight. Alonso's improved, and we are definitely plummeting down the order there as just like gather the car up in towards the first part of the chicane. A little bit hesitant on the throttle on the exit, but we actually did a very good job there carrying the speed off of the turn, so yeah, we definitely were getting a faint toe from Bortoleto on our previous lap, but going purple through the middle sector anyway here, so this lap could be potentially cause an upset right towards the end of qualifying here, and remind everybody that I hope we're in the fight for a World Championship next season. Throw the car over the curbing as we go under the hotel. A little bit wide on the exit, that'll cost us a bit, but hopefully we can gather it up and carry the speed. One more corner to go then. Where will we line up on the grid here in Abu Dhabi? It's P1 again. Well, there we are then, back-to-back pole positions here to finish off the campaign. That is exactly what we're talking about here in Abu Dhabi. Denying Yuki Tsunoda what would have been a great pole lap for him and Lewis Hamilton in P3. Max Verstappen down in 4th there, but still ahead of Lando Norris. Again, Verstappen, he only needs to finish 9th tonight, so I'm sure he'll just do the bare minimum to make sure this World Championship is his.
It's time then for one final race in this year's Formula One World Championship. 2010 saw 4 drivers in contention for the title coming into this race, with Sebastian Vettel prevailing to become the youngest world champion to date. Is there one last sting in the tail awaiting us today? Well, it's time to find out, here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The Yas Marina circuit is made up of 3.28 miles of track, featuring 16 corners with 2 very long straights. DRS zones going into the heavy braking zones of both Turn 5 and Turn 7 offer plenty of potential for overtaking. The circuit comes with its fair share of tricky corners, which will certainly test a driver's braking management. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Mr. Monaco lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Piastri, Lando Norris, and Fernando Alonso, Albon, Antonelli, Doohan, and Charles Leclerc, Tsunoda, Russell, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Gasly, Hülkenberg, Bortoletto, Esteban Ocon, and Ollie Behrman. Hadjar and Liam Lawson rounds off the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Well, here we are then, down on the grid, already in Abu Dhabi. Lots of grid penalties up and down the order, but luckily none for us. Not sure on a 2-stop strategy. It didn't really work for us in Qatar in the end, but the team are adamant today it is going to be the way to go. And, well, sometimes I've trusted them, sometimes I haven't. Sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't. I've got no idea as to what is going to happen here tonight then. But ready on the grid, penalties for Max Verstappen, for Yuki Tsunoda even, has moved Verstappen up onto the front row. And it is going to be lights out, and away we go then, off to a fairly tidy launch. So we make our way side by side with the champion hopeful there through turn 1. Of course, we've just got to hope that Verstappen tonight, of course, he doesn't need to take any risk. You know, he could just finish behind me here, and I'm going to try and use that against him to the best of my ability as the Dutchman trying to look down around the outside in towards the hairpin. Not able to do that on lap 1. And we will hang on to the lead then off of those first few corners. Lando Norris looks like he's found a way around Oscar Piastri at the start. Here comes the Dutchman then, trying to use some of his battery as we make our way down the back straight. Here comes Lando Norris though, 3 wide with our 2 championship hopefuls at the front of the order. Contact with Oscar Piastri as we go 3 wide with the McLarens, and I think Oscar has just launched into the side of Lando Norris there. I don't know if Lando might now have some side pod damage or something like that early on, but the AI, everybody trying to go for a move on lap 1 then, and well, I'm hoping that front wing damage isn't going to cost us too much. The car does feel alright as we make our way through the next few corners. I might get that replaced at the first pit stop if we need to. Let's have a listen in though.
Verstappen ahead.
So, okay, Mark clearly not giving me the information I actually want. Tell me how many pit stops he's got to make. Why not give me the 1 bit of information I actually want early on in this race? Anyway, we've survived lap 1. Oscar Piastri is into the pit lane, so he definitely got damage. Second weekend in a row, McLaren has had to box on lap 1. But that one was all on Oscar.
Norris behind. Time last lap, 1 minute 31.1. They're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are just 1 lap old. We think they've got 1 more stop.
There we go, then confirmation from Mark there that it looks like both the car in front and the car behind are going to be attempting a 1 stop tonight. So I think we've probably got to try and do the same thing then. So we'll want to try and go to about the end of lap 12, end of lap 13. Before we bolt on a set of the hard tyres to see us to the end. Alonso's definitely 2-stop, or I would assume is 2-stopping on a set of softs early on. Yeah, the car doesn't feel bad, but it doesn't feel perfect either. I think, you know, obviously top 3 already, building up quite a big lead over everybody else. But we've just got to be sensible. Lando Norris is trying to absolutely hang me early on here. He wants to be able to have a go at Max Verstappen at the front of the order, see if you can force him into an error. But I'm just trying to use Max to drag me along at the moment, so I'm sure the Dutchman will be quite a fan of me defending so much from Lando Norris here. I mean, like I said, Lando's only real hope tonight is that Verstappen has a mechanical failure. That's all he can really do. But depending on how much Sainz and Alonso hold each other up, maybe the 2-stop could still work. if we're like 10 seconds ahead of them by lap 10, then I'm sure we can actually try and go for it. Oh, Verstappen, huge snap of oversteer there as he tries to get the power down and to the back straight, and I think he's going to be vulnerable not only to me, but to Lando Norris as well. Then is that big block coming in from the Dutchman, but Lando Norris, he's going to have 2 for the price of 1 here as Verstappen not wanting to give up on it just yet. Tries to have a look back down the inside there. Oh, he's walloped over the curbing. And Max Verstappen's just gone into the side of us as well, so now we've got some side pod damage in this GP.
The body's incurred some slight damage, but nothing too serious at the moment. Just be careful.
And Verstappen then has picked up front wing damage here as well, so, I mean, why on earth would the Dutchman risk that on just lap 4 of this GP? Lando Norris then up into P1. I'm hoping we can stick with him still. But, yeah, I mean, for Max Verstappen, surely, in this scenario, you've just got to be cool, calm, and collected. And, I mean, he's definitely going to pit the end of this lap, isn't he? Oscar Piastri obviously had to earlier on, so surely Verstappen's going to do the same. And I guess for now then, this means that obviously Lando Norris suddenly is in a championship winning position. But what's even worse for Max Verstappen then is he's actually come back out onto the circuit behind Oscar Piastri in this GP. So he's going to have another car that he's got to try and find his way around. But let's not forget Lando Norris last weekend, he had to pit for front wing damage and recovered very, very well to get back inside the points by the end of the GP to keep himself mathematically in the World Championship fight. We're just losing time though to the McLaren. He looks in control early on here. But yeah, behind us though, Sainz, Albon and Fernando Alonso. No idea what's going on, but they are costing each other a lot of time. We're pulling out more than a second a lap still. But I think... Oh, there you go, I failed a challenge apparently.
Don't worry about it. Get your head down now, chin up, and let's focus right until the checkered flag.
Yeah, when we pit though, I'm going to take a new front wing here. I think we are going to box for a 2-stop strategy, just so we can get on a new wing a bit quicker, and hopefully then move our way back through. The other car that we do need to be a little bit careful of here, of course, is Charles Leclerc. I guess with Oscar Piastri pretty much down and out of this race, there's going to be no chance for the McLaren man to jump me in the World Championship. But between Leclerc and I, it is basically whoever finishes ahead of who tonight will wrap up that P3 in the World Drivers' Championship there, and I really want to hang on to that in our debut season. It's just so I get the car slowed down on the way into the pits. We know this is going to be a slow stop here, but hopefully we're going to be able to get a nice undercut on these guys a bit later on in the day. Come on, Aston Martin, give us a nice quick tidy stop. Surely with the front wing on, they can't mess up the tyres, as, yeah, they've messed up the wing.
Front wing. We need to try and put that behind us now and finish the race strong.
Well, I wasn't expected to rejoin inside Alex Albon in this Grand Prix, but there we are then. So at least we're still going to be comfortably ahead of him.
One more stop today. 1 stop left in this strategy.
I'm really hoping that, yeah, that slow pit stop is going to cost us a little bit of track position, as Max Verstappen, on a set of hard compound tyres, clearly just wants to get on with it in this race. We've just about come out ahead of our teammate Alonso, who is trying to work an undercut on a lot of drivers as well. But Max Verstappen then surely going to try and go for a move on Ollie Behrman up this next straight.
They've pitted as well, so warm up your tyres and get down the road.
I think we'll take that one with a pinch of salt there, as there goes the Dutchman down the inside of Ollie Behrman in his Haas car. So Max, to be fair to him, is recovering already pretty well in this race, but it's just about how high up the order he can get by the end. Like we said, he only needs P9. You know, it's not the biggest task in the world, even in a very, very competitive car. But Ollie Behrman, trying to defend. I think he was actually trying to look for a move on the Dutchman himself. We almost wiped Max out like Antonelli did at the weekend. That would have been quite disastrous. Already had contact with him once. I firmly believe that was the Dutchman's fault. Down the inside will go under the hotel. Much fresher tyres there, and we'll just bully him out of the way. There's loads more cars into the pit lane then almost immediately. So there are quite a few 2-stoppers in this event. So we are going to be back up into P6 of this GP then. So if the race were to finish here, Max would be world champion. Next up then, Andrea Kimi Antonelli as we make our way down this back straight. Is he going to try and defend from me? Only once I've had a look for it, as he tries to give me a big old squeeze into the corner. But no match for us then, as Tsunoda could have been on the pole position this weekend, but have already had those grid penalties So disappointing for him. But hopefully we'll get around him next lap. I don't think we can afford to wait till next lap to try and get a run on Tsunoda then, as we're going to have to try and go for a similar move to what we did on Verstappen down the inside. You don't really ever see overtakes down at the hotel, but not going to complain about it, as we've got yellows out. Someone might be slowing down in this GP. I believe that's a Williams safety car.
Car is out. We need to form up at reduced pace. Keep a close eye on that delta time. Make sure to keep it positive.
Oh, I really don't know whether now could be the time to switch to a set of hards to the end of the afternoon. I'm just not convinced it's worth it yet. Well, I think, of course, especially with a couple of extra laps under the safety car, we've got to try and box now.
Slow your pace immediately.
Yeah, we've just got box now then, and hopefully try and obviously get to the end of the afternoon on this one set. As Tsunoda's are in, Verstappen in, Russell in, everybody's into the pit lane then, with the exception of a few, so really not too sure what Russell's planning. Another slow stop, are you having a laugh? Come on, come on, come on, thank you.
Seems to have been a problem removing the right front wheel. We need to try and put that behind us, and let's finish this race as strong as possible.
Well, luckily I was a little bit cheeky on our pit lane entry there, going under the delta, but another slow pit stop then in this GP, and we are going to re-emerge down in P11 here. So Hulkenberg and Ocon provisionally running up inside the top 10. Hulkenberg's definitely not going to the end. Esteban Ocon might be. The one this really doesn't help, though, is Lando Norris, because, of course, effectively now Verstappen is on the same strategy as everybody else, and a whole lot closer. Well, as we cross over half distance then in this Grand Prix, Lando Norris still leading the way up at the front of the order. He's got a bit of a pressure, though, from Fernando Alonso right behind him, and I believe Charles Leclerc is running in third. But yeah, Max Verstappen, though, down in about P18 still in this GP, so a lot can still change, though, in the second half. The Dutchman will want to try and carve his way through as quickly as he can, but there are plenty of cars that still need to pit again before the end of this GP. There is still a lot left to decide here tonight then, as making our way through the final couple of corners. Esteban Ocon very, very slow there, as we've got to try and get some temperature into the front tyres.
Ahead, 3.9 seconds.
Immediately, down the inside at turn 1 there. That was a little bit of a lunge, but we get the car slowed down, and we will complete the move. Next up, Nico Hulkenberg. Pretty certain the rule of thumb is if you're on a set of hards, you're probably going to the end. If you're not, I don't think you're going to make it to the checkered flag in this GP, as to the inside of Hulkenberg down at that final corner then. So we are definitely making a little bit of progress. I mean, look at the lead Lando's got. I know Alonso was on old tyres. I think Charles Leclerc was as well. But that's ridiculous. He's got about a 4-second lead after one lap. Well, I'm starting to see more moves coming in. Hamilton having to try and defend from Carlos Sainz then. So we know it was Alex Albon, of course, that had that moment earlier on in the GP. But a much quicker car than the Alpine just in front of me, and much fresher tyres as well. We'll get past one of them. Will we be able to get past the other on the brakes? Doing just about spotted me there. I was worried. Well, I was going to understeer right into him, as Hamilton clearly struggling on his set of hard compound tyres, and we're going to get a third car on this lap, even a fourth. What is happening? There we go. I guess I'm not going to complain about it there, as 4 places gained in about as many corners, but up then into P5 we go.
You made it look so easy.
So Russell definitely has got a pit. There goes Alonso back into the pit lane as well. So what tyre is Charles Leclerc on here? Leclerc's on medium, so I think he's got a pit as well. But occasionally the AI do surprise me. George Russell, I mean, soft compound tyres here seem like a brave choice by Mercedes. And I'm not convinced they're going to work out very well for him. So we make our way down the back straight. Don't think we're quite close enough this time round to really go for a send. But as he's not in the range,
Get you onto new tyres and move on to a different strategy.
I don't think we do, thank you, Mark. I think we're feeling pretty good at the moment.
Copy that.
Why on earth would he recommend that? That's so weird. But anyway, to the outside then of George Russell. Purple through the middle sector as well, and we are back up to P3. But at the front of the order, Lando Norris is on soft compound tyres, so this might be why Mark doesn't think I can get to the end, because clearly none of our front runners do either. Leclerc's definitely going to have to box, Lando's definitely going to have to box, and we are effectively up into the net lead of this race. Look at that, Lando Norris is already in. Charles Leclerc's diving in. What on earth is going on here in Abu Dhabi? This is chaos at the moment then. That's the wrong McLaren, Mark. That's a bit worrying, considering you used to work for them. But back up then into the lead of the GP. Hamilton's staying out there. Esteban Ocon appears to be staying out here. So does Gabriel Bortoleto and Jack Doohan for at least another lap. I can see Verstappen there. He must be running in about P7. Or is that Yuki Tsunoda? I've got no idea what's going on behind us in this GP. All I know is that Lando Norris has come back out. And he's at about P9. There we go. Jack Doohan, Esteban Ocon, Gabriel Bortoleto all into the pit lane as well. So now Ollie Behrman up into the podium places. And there is Lando Norris. So he's now on a set of hards as well, trying to get to the end. And he's only 12 seconds behind us here, so there's still no guarantee that we might not win this race still. Lando Norris is going to be pushing on towards the end of the afternoon, but neither Red Bull, I think, is inside the top 10 right now. Alonso running very well up in P6, but Lando Norris, yeah, like I said, all of this is irrelevant unless he can win. I mean, he's already probably on average at least half a second a lap faster than me. Those tyres are going to probably provide at least another half a second a lap. But he's only got 9 laps to do it. Hamilton's pitting. He's on hards. Surely Lewis Hamilton could have gone to the end of the Grand Prix as Ollie Behrman, into the pits as well then. So what on earth is going on with the strategies tonight? I'm still not convinced our tyres are going to be particularly fun towards the end of the GP, but Lando Norris needs to take 1.2 seconds a lap out of us. Last time round, 1.5 seconds. Our team want us in then at the end of this lap, but that is certainly not going to happen. We've got to try and go for the win tonight.
19.3 seconds.
This could unironically come down to the very last lap between Lando Norris and I. The gap down to just under 7 seconds. He's still going about 1.4, 1.5 seconds a lap quicker than me. So he's going to get to me right towards the end of this GP. Verstappen, though, he's not out of it just yet. He is now stuck in a big train of cars that does extend up to about 9th place here. I'm trying to do the maths in my head. I think he'd need to get up to those Alpines that are battling with each other. But of course, again, he doesn't need to worry if Lando can't get to me. We've got yellows. We've got yellows. No, it's Fernando Alonso. Late on in the day here. I was just thinking that we haven't had a mechanical failure for anybody yet, and unfortunately, it's our teammate that's had another one late on this season. Huge disappointment for him. It brings Verstappen one step closer to his ultimate goal tonight, as I think Oscar Piastri has actually recovered quite nicely as well, and has moved up the order quite well. Yeah, 2.6 seconds though to Lando Norris behind. Last lap he took 1.3 out of me. Oh, looking at our tyre wear though, I'm not feeling confident we're going to be able to do anything against Lando Norris at this stage of the day. 3 more laps to go. We've got a 10-second buffer ahead of Charles Leclerc in P3, and we've got to focus on our own World Championship as well here. We want to finish P3, best of the rest, behind Lando and Max, and if I spend too much time fighting with Lando, we might lose out when all is said and done. I have done the maths. Oscar Piastri is in that P9 spot that Verstappen needs, but Lando Norris now back up into the lead of the Grand Prix with less than 3 laps to go. He's back in the position he needs to become world champion here tonight. So as we try and get the power down out onto the second of the back straights, are we going to be able to get a run on Lando? I said I'm not going to, try and make it too easy for him. There is around the outside we will go, and back up then into top spot in this race. I'm sure Lando was hoping I just kind of let him by and stay put. That's not going to happen. Here we go, round 2 between Lando and I. Is he going to be a bit braver this time? Is he going to be a bit more intelligent this time round with it? I mean, we've just got no battery there, and I mean, look at that, the McLaren absolutely breezing by me as we make our way down the back straight again though. Just got to try and get good deploy down the second part here. But is this time round the gap going to be enough for Lando Norris? He gets a little bit of a wobble. We will again try to drain the battery as the tyre wear warning light just pops up as well. Can we try and get a run on the McLaren man? He's going to try and go a little bit defensive to the outside. We'll go late on the brakes around the outside there. But will it be enough? Lando Norris and I wheel to wheel. The World Championship on the line. But I want to equal the record set by Hamilton and Jacques Villeneuve here of 4 wins in a debut season. It is going to come down to the last lap here in Abu Dhabi as we try and put the power down at the final corner. Lando Norris just dropping away ever so slightly, but he knows he has got much fresher tyres than me towards the checkered flag. I think Charles Leclerc now beginning to struggle towards the end of this race. Verstappen, it has been a nightmare night for the Dutchman here on a venue where he won a World Championship on the very last lap in controversial circumstances. It looks like tonight he could still lose one on the very last lap here in Abu Dhabi as well, as we make our way down towards the hairpin at the same corner that Verstappen made his move. Lando Norris attempts the same on me, backs out of it. Now it's going to be a drag race as we make our way up the back straight there. Lando Norris, though, makes it through and has comfortably got enough battery. Has he just waited on this last lap to make sure that he had enough to pull away from us there, as just trying to get our car slowed down? This will be our last opportunity to try and get the victory away from him, but I don't think we've got enough. Lando Norris, he has played the patience game tonight. He needed a miracle coming into this weekend, and that might be exactly what has befallen him here through the final few corners. Many thought he could have won the World Championship in 2024, but a few too many mistakes cost him. He won the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix last year and made sure that he was going to come back in a big way. It's once again been Verstappen versus Lando Norris, but a 23-point deficit is surely about to become a 2-point lead through the final corner. Lando Norris, by my count, is a Formula 1 world champion.
And so the celebrations begin, and well-earned they are indeed. It might have looked simple at times, but as any racing driver will tell you, competing at this level at the very top is anything but simple. There's no catching them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion. Here's the checkered flag, and our winner has Landoed. It's Lando Norris for victory. From lights out to the checkered flag, this is what they're racing for. It's points and a trip to the podium. He raises the trophy over his head. Lando Norris, head and shoulders above the rest today.
Well, there we are then. By less than a second, Lando Norris is your Formula 1 world champion there. The 25 points he needed, and boy, he had to work for him tonight. We were not going to make it easy for him towards the checkered flag. But importantly for us, we will hang on to P3 in the World Championship there with a second place finish tonight. Charles Leclerc in third, just ahead of Russell, Lewis Hamilton. Williams, until Albon's mistake early on, looked absolutely rapid here. Carlos Sainz able to come through for 6th. Oscar Piastri, a great recovery just ahead of Jack Doohan, Nico Hülkenberg and Pierre Gasly there. And yeah, Verstappen ultimately got past most of the cars he needed to, but just could not quite catch up to Gasly and Hulk by the end of the GP. Just Fernando Alonso, who fails to see the checkered flag, a disappointing end to what has been a fairly disappointing year for our teammate when all is said and done. But 2 points in it at the top of the table, but Lando Norris stands on top of the Formula 1 world. Max Verstappen, I'm sure he will be back in anger next season. We narrowly miss out on 300 points by the end of the campaign as well, but we do beat Charles Leclerc to P3. Oscar Piastri in 5th, just ahead of Hamilton. Tsunoda in P7 ahead of George Russell, with Alonso hanging on ahead of Andrea Kimi Antonelli and Esteban Ocon for that P9. Carlos Sainz, very good consistent points throughout the course of the year to beat out Alex Albon, with Pierre Gasly just ahead of Liam Lawson. Hülkenberg with a few good points on the board. Doohan and Behrman as well, with just Hadjar and Bortoletto failing to score this season. Constructors-wise, McLaren 77 clear of Red Bull, who almost lost out to Ferrari at the end of the year. A very distant P4 for us, but, you know, it gives us a lot of building blocks to work on ready for next year ahead of Mercedes. Williams hang on ahead of Haas, with Alpine, V-Carb and Kick Sauber. Every team scoring points. Absolutely what you love to see, but thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed. Like I said, Season 2 will not be far away either. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we've got some good driver transfers. And yeah, we'll be back very soon with more of the driver career.